Thank you so much for tuning in with us here at Seven City Church. Our prayer is that this message would help you know Christ, encourage you to experience community, and help you influence culture like never before. We hope you enjoy today's message.
Good morning. How you doing today? You guys aren't doing so great, man. I'm about to start praying up here for you guys. I'm like, man, I'm about to preach on something different because you guys are just a little quiet. How y'all doing? There we go. Come on. I don't know. Man, if you've ever heard me preach, you just know one thing. I'm going to be loud, and I expect you guys to be loud. Is that okay? Can we do that? Some of y'all like, man, I don't know about that. We're going to have to pray for me. It's all good. Just maybe all of us can take a step out of our comfort zone. Just a little baby step. You know what I'm saying? So let's just try this out. We're continuing a series called Waiting Game. So I'm going to count to 3. I just want you to yell Waiting Game. You ready? 1, 2, 3. There we go. Come on, you guys are waking up. It's good. It's a good morning to be at Seven City Church. Maybe you're watching at home today. Man, hope you're chilling on the couch and enjoy this. And let us know something in the comments. And we're honored to just have this chance with you. Pastor Stephen is on vacation, a well-deserved. Hope he's having a good time vacation. Normally when the pastor's out, I'm like, man, blow up his phone and let him know he's loved. Facebook messages, don't do that, all right? He's on vacation. So give him a little break. And man, just be praying for him and Pastor Cannon that they come back with some good tans and with just some new, fresh anointing and excitement to lead Seven City Church. Amen? Come on, we could be praying for him to have a great vacation and all that good stuff. So, man, just want to say thanks for being here. Excited to just share this word with you guys. If I haven't had the chance to meet you, my name is Seth. I'm the associate pastor here. And honored to do this. Last week, we kicked off this series and talked about waiting seasons. They're difficult. They're not easy. They're not fun, really. Let's be honest, because we see where we want to get to, but we're here. Anybody ever been stuck here? And you're covered with frustration or other things, like you're covered in, man, why am I stuck right here when I want to be over there? I'm waiting to get to whatever's over there. Fill in the blank. And for you, it could look completely different. It depends on where you're at in life. It depends on what you're trying to chase after. But there's these things that we see, and they just look so great and so good. And man, it's tough to wait it out. And so last week we talked about there's wonder in the wander. As we wait, waiting seasons don't have to be wasted seasons. You know what I'm saying? We don't have to let this time be wasted, but God is trying to help us become the masterpiece he's created us to be. And then we talked about remembering God and remembering who he is and not forgetting, right? We can't just keep moving about life and forget what he's done back here. And then as we forget those things, we get nervous and we can become fearful when we forget what he's already done. And so I want to re-preach those messages. If you weren't here, go back and watch it. It's on the YouTube and on the Facebook, and you can find it there. But today, I want to dive right in. We're talking about waiting seasons, the difficulty there, the unfun, just making up words up here, right? The unfun season that it can be. But something I've learned in my life is trust is sort of a big deal in a waiting season. I think trust is required. Waiting requires trust. If we're going to go through a waiting season, we will have to muster up some amount of trust to get to the other side and survive. The highs and the lows of life require us to find trust somehow. And I'm talking about trust with the Lord. I'm talking about trust with other people. It's something that just covers every aspect. And today I want to highlight and look at trusting in a waiting season. As we play the waiting game, as we're held back in even depressive modes of, why am I stuck right here? I want to be over there. Some of you, you're like, man, Seth, you know exactly where I'm at right now. How'd you know, right? And it's because, honestly, most of us will find ourselves in a waiting season right now. If you're not in a waiting season right now, give it 2 seconds, your stomach's gonna growl, and you're gonna be waiting for me to be done. You know what I'm saying? Just give it a little bit. You will find a moment, and you're waiting to get somewhere else. But it requires trust. And here's the hard part. Trust for most of us is kind of a touchy topic. Trust for most of us is difficult because we've tried it before. We've given it a shot, and it hasn't gone the way that we wanted to. This morning, I want to use this beautiful plate I picked up at Target, for those of you that don't know the real name of Target. And it's Target. And it's a beautiful plate, y'all. This is from the Hearth and Hand section, you know what I'm saying? Chip and Joanna. And come on, some of you are like, man, I want one of those plates, right? It's a beautiful plate. It's gorgeous. And I don't even want to eat off this thing. It's just so pretty. But today, I want this to represent our trust. Because here's what happened. At a very young age, you walked up to somebody and you're like, I want to trust you. I mean, we tried it. We gave it a shot, and what happened? You had those big, wide eyes open, and you looked at somebody, and maybe you told them a secret. And it was like a dumb secret that doesn't matter to anybody, but for you, it was the world. And you said, you know what, I'm gonna trust them. And we handed them our trust, and they looked at it, and they were like, man, this is cool. Like, they trusted me. They were vulnerable with me. And you know what they did? They threw it on the ground. Even at a young age. We've experienced it. The shattered pieces of our trust. And really what it is, it's our heart. We gave it a shot, and we saw the end result. And so we go on about life, and we continue on. And here's what we do is we pick up the broken pieces. And we think, you know what, maybe one day I'll be able to trust somebody. And you pick them up, and you go on about your life, and we try to act like that didn't happen, and we try to act like everything's good and dandy, right? And maybe just one day we find someone else, and it's your best friend, right? And you're like, man, if I can trust anyone, it's my best friend. And so we put our trust in them, we're vulnerable with them, we give this a shot, and what happens? You're like, Seth, don't do it again. Don't do it again. I got to, right? Oh man, watch out, guys. We're in the blast radius up here. We keep trying because something deep down inside of us is aching for real relationships. Something deep down inside of us, we know that we should be able to trust people. We want real relationships, but we've realized it kind of comes at a cost. And here's really what happens is we continue about life and this scar tissue begins to build up. And we begin to put on this facade of who we want the world to think we are. It's a little shallow. It's not as deep. It's not as trusting because, like I said, we continue to just see the end result. And this happens time and time again. To be honest, I would like to think that most of you, even if you're watching at home, like you've been through these moments. You've experienced this. You've tried it out. Maybe you're trying it out right now. I mean, the honest truth is even like we think, well, I'm gonna get married and it's gonna fix everything. And then even in our marriage sometimes, like what happens? Man, it's hard to walk through life broken. It's hard to walk through a waiting season and you're just like, how am I gonna get over there? It's not easy. And today I wanna just help you understand a truth that I think is fundamental. I think it could change your perspective on the waiting season that you're walking through, the things that you've been feeling, the emotions that have built up, and the trust that you're walking through life. Your heart has been shattered and broken, but I want you to understand something that's just, it could change everything. And are you ready for this? The trajectory of your life is dependent on your ability to trust. How far you get, how high you rise is dependent on your ability to live out this thing called trust. But it's really hard because we've been so broken. We've been through so much. And today I want to help you walk through looking at trust, what it could mean for your life, maybe how you can take some baby steps into trusting again. Because I think if you're gonna do anything with your life, if you're gonna tap into the potential that God has placed in your life, the passions that He's put inside of you, He created you for them. If you're gonna become the masterpiece that God has been dreaming up for you to become since before you were even born, you're gonna have to tap into some trust. Today, if I was gonna title my message, it would be this: trust is a must. Rhymes, that's good, right? But like I said, a lot of us, we feel like trust has been a little bit more of a bust. We feel like it's been a little bit tougher to try this out, to live this out. And I wanna go to one of the most basic passages of scripture on trust. You've heard this before. If you've been to church a couple times, if you've been to Hobby Lobby, you've seen this on one of their signs. I guarantee you, check this out. And it's Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5-6. It says, trust in the Lord with all your heart. Do not depend on your own understanding. Seek His will in all you do, and He will show you which path to take. It's a good verse, Like I read this, you're like, yeah, I like this. But when it comes time for you to live this verse out, like when hype man Seth isn't there to read the verse to you and you gotta trust God, you gotta give this a shot. When real life happens, this verse begins to fade away. And a lot of it, and I wanna walk through this verse, at least the first part of this verse, backwards and help you understand a few things. It says this: do not depend on your own understanding. I don't know about you guys, but I learned at a really young age that the thing that limits my life more than anything is my imagination. If I put a ball of Play-Doh in your hand, the only thing holding that ball of Play-Doh from becoming something incredible is your imagination. If I gave you a pencil and a pad, the only thing keeping you from being Walt Disney is your imagination. When you have this opportunity and this chance to step out there and walk away from just what your mind knows, your misconceptions, what's holding you back is right here. It's your brain, it's your mindset, it's your mentality. To see your reality shift, you gotta let your mentality be shifted. You know what I'm saying? To see your life change, you've gotta change up here a little bit. And the biggest thing holding us back from trusting people is that we've tried it before and we remember. We remember those scars that have built up over years and over years. We remember those relationships that just came and crashed and burned. We remember those hard feelings. And it hurt, y'all. I don't wanna downplay any of that. But something that's gonna change things for you is taking this step back and saying, you know what? I only know what I know. But if I truly wanna live this out, if I wanna achieve the things God's called me to do, if I want the trajectory of my life to change, to be greater than what I could come up with, it can't be what I come up with. Does that make sense to you guys? I'm limited here. And here's a big thing. In our culture and in our world, mental health has become one of the greatest struggles, one of the most common struggles. And I wonder if we could walk away from some of these scars that we felt and begin to get past our past a little bit, you know what I'm saying? And begin to embody what God is calling us to do and calling us to be. I think counseling's a great thing. I go see a counselor every other week, seriously. Let's go together, come on. I believe in it. I believe in prescriptions and things that help balance us out. But I think one of the greatest things that we can do is begin to shift our mentality. Because as we begin to shift what we think we know, it's going to allow us to achieve something greater in our ability to trust. And if you don't believe me, just give it a shot. I dare you. Just give it a shot and come back to me. So we can't depend on our own understanding. The second part is this. I'm working backwards. It says, with all your heart. I'm not talking about the thing pumping blood in you right now, right? I'm talking about like the heart that's shaped like this. You know what I'm saying? The real pretty one. Kind of embodies and captures all of our emotions and just our feelings, all the things that are going on inside of us. It's our heart. And it's funny because if you read through Proverbs, like we started right here at Proverbs chapter 3, the next chapter says this. It says, guard your heart above all else, for it is the wellspring of life. I love this verse. I think it's a wise verse. Like, this is wisdom. Because like I said, what happened is we tried this thing. We tried trust, and we didn't guard ourselves like we should have. We didn't think through with wisdom because, let's be honest, at a very young age, we didn't know what wisdom was. We didn't know how to guard our hearts. Our parents weren't teaching us how to guard our hearts. They're just trying to tell us how to go to the bathroom. Been there, right? But when we come back to this verse, we realize we've got to guard ourselves a little bit. But I love that the verse that we're reading in Proverbs chapter 3, it comes before this verse. Like, we got chapter 4, and it's guard your heart. You got to be careful. It's the wellspring of life. But I love that Proverbs chapter 3, it's just a little bit before that. And I think it's helping you understand like the starting point, like the place that you've got to start with your life. If you're going to live out trust, and if you're going to see it operate the way that it's supposed to, like healthy level of trust in your life. And it's this: trust in the Lord with all your heart. I love that it doesn't say most of your heart, you know? I love that this part could be omitted. You know, it could just say trust in the Lord, and then it could, and don't depend on your own understanding. Like this part could be taken out completely, and it would still be a great verse. It would still be on those signs at Hobby Lobby. But the greatness of this verse is found in the fact that we're not just dipping our toe in the water and like, man, this is okay. Like, anybody been swimming recently? I'm like, goodness, man, like, what do you do in Texas to survive? You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, we've been hitting up the pool. And before you jump into the pool, you want to know what to expect, right? You just put that toe in there. Sometimes I kind of like swash it around a little bit. I want to feel what I'm about to jump into. It's like this, you know, you're strolling through Sam's Club. No, you guys go to Costco, right? Come on, you go through Costco and you're going down the aisles. You got that big old shopping cart and you showed them your card walking in and you're walking down the aisle. And then they're like, hey, you want to try this out? They got the testers, you know what I'm talking about? Sometimes you just get a full meal. Like you can get like a 18-course meal walking through Costco. Hallelujah, right? You're balling on a budget. Some of you guys are going to day after church, right? But you walk through there and they've got testers that are allowing you to just get a little taste. And they're hoping that you're gonna walk out with a big old bag, because at Sam's Club and Costco, you don't get anything but big old bag of something, right? And they're like, we wanna sell you these pita chips. And you're like, I don't even know what pita is, but I'll test it, right? And you try it and you're like, it's all right, you know, a little grainy, a little something going on. You just throw that bag in your cart and it's all good. You test something out, you dip your toe in the water. I love this verse because it's talking about trusting in the all-powerful creator God. And it's not just saying, come get a little test. It's not saying dip your toe in the water. It's saying trust in the Lord with all your heart. This is not a like little dip your toe in the water kind of thing. This is a dive in, head first, give it a shot, all the way. Nothing held back, nothing restrained. That's how you appropriately trust in God. Well, Pastor Seth, you just read that I'm supposed to guard my heart above all else, and it's the wellspring of life. I've got to be careful with it, and you do. But something I've learned is that a lot of things we learn to be cautionary in our lives. We learn to be cautious in things. We're walking across the street, we're cautious. We're cooking food, we're cautious. With trust, we're super cautious because we've been broken and we've been hurt. But something I've learned in life is like, usually too much of a good thing's a bad thing. Like too much cookie dough, as much as I'd love to, it's a bad thing, right? It's a good thing, it's a bad thing. I've learned in my life, I don't have to be cautious when it comes to the Lord. I don't have to hold back. I don't have to be restrained like I do in every other area of my life. There's nothing like I can chase after God and want more and want more and want more, and it's always gonna be okay. I can never have too much God. I can never be satisfied because I want more. And when you begin to like really dive in head first and like see what it's all about, you never will be the same. And a lot of you, can I just be honest with you? You've had that goosebumps down your spine moment. You prayed something at church. You made that decision back in the day as a teenager. You had your little dip your toe in the water experience, and you've never experienced real trust in a real relationship with God. And you wonder why the results haven't been what we've said. Man, Seth, that's kind of deep. Preaching good up there, man. We still end up with the same results. But this verse isn't telling me to be cautious. This verse isn't telling me to be careful. This verse isn't telling me to guard my heart. It's saying it takes all of it. And I worry about the people that walk through life with just a little bit of God, just a little bit of trust in him, when he's asked us for the whole thing. Pastor Joe did a great job talking about tithe. Come on. God can take that 10% that we give back and just explode it, make it incredible, and help us take that 90% and do more. But to me, something I've learned is that God is asking for your whole trust. He's not asking for half. He's not asking for 75% and 99.9%. It's the whole thing. And today, here's a question I want to ask you. What level would you say you're currently giving God? I don't know, man. Let me run the numbers up here, and get my calculator out. I wonder what your answer would be. And here's the thing. I love this verse. I love it. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your understanding. Like I'm telling you, I've preached this so many times. I get tired of preaching it, but you know why I keep coming back to it? Is because I've learned that trust is probably the greatest, most common issue in people's lives. Oh, you've got this issue going on, fill in the blank, right? It's probably rooted back in your trust issue. Oh, that's going on with you right now? Let's work backwards, right? And we work ourselves backward and we look through the evidence, we look through all this stuff, and what's the answer? It's a heart, it's a trust issue. But here's where this verse, this is everything in this verse. Are you ready? It's the first part. It says, trust in the Lord. Can I tell you that if this verse said any other name, it would be meaningless. If this verse said, trust in Bob, there's no point. You could put your best friend's name there. You could put your mom's name there. You can put your significant other's name there. But if this verse had any other name, the meaning would be meaningless. But you know whose name is in there? The Lord. We're not just talking about somebody that's got nice teeth and they got a good smile. We're not talking about somebody that has a good listening ear and sometimes they give you good advice. We're talking about the all-powerful creator of the universe who has been pursuing you since before you were born. Man. Can I tell you that something that could just change the game for you in trusting is knowing who you're trusting in? Here's the deal. Something I learned a long time ago, and it's something I try to coach people in, is this. There's no greater place for you to put anything in your life. Anything in your life. Relationship issues, job issues, waiting issues, health issues, friendship issues. I could just go down the list and cover everything. There's no greater place for the junk of your life, your trust issues. There's no greater place than to place them in the hands of God. Do you know how capable He is? Do you know how wise and intelligent He is? He can take the broken pieces. And here's what I love. Here's what happens when you come and you trust in the Lord with all your heart and you forget your past preconceived notions of what you think trust looks like and the broken scar tissue that's built up in your life. When you walk away from that and you get on the ground and you pick these pieces up and you come before Him and you submit your life to Him and you trust in Him, you hand these pieces over to the Creator God. Do you know what He does with them? He picks them up and He puts them back together. And He doesn't just grab some Gorilla Glue or something. He doesn't just, this piece looks like it goes here. He slowly but surely puts those pieces back together. And He begins to bring restoration to your life. He begins to show you what real trust looks like when you've never had a good example. He begins to show you that you can depend on Him and that His love never fails and that He will always, always, always be there for you. And He begins to redeem some things. I actually did some research, and there's this fun word. I'm asking you guys to repeat after me. Everybody say, Kintsugi. Kintsugi. It's the Japanese art of repairing broken pottery with powdered gold, silver, or platinum. This ain't no Gorilla Glue. This ain't no crazy glue. This ain't no Elmer's, right? This is the process. And what's cool about this process is as they begin to take the pieces and put them back together, even no matter how many thousands of pieces have been fractured, they slowly but surely put them back together. And what I love is if you see these pictures, you can Google it, I'm telling you, it's incredible. They're more beautiful than they were before. They're more valuable than they were before. And when you experience this happen in your own life, and my prayer for you is that you do, you will see what real trust looks like. You will see someone that is so dependent and so caring. And here's what I love. As you've been struggling through trust and walking through all the weight of what you've been walking through and the pieces are shattered on the ground, God is literally standing right next to you and he's like, I've been waiting. Like we think we've been waiting to get to where we want to get to. God has been waiting for you to realize that he cares for you and that he loves you and he wants to pick the broken pieces up off the ground with you and he wants to put you back together and show you the masterpiece he created you to be. I don't know about you, but that's powerful. And I get excited thinking about what happens in your life when you begin to pick up those pieces and humbly just bow before God and say, God, show me who you are. Trusting is difficult. But can I tell you the flip side of that? Not trusting is more difficult. Because when you don't allow yourself to trust people, when you don't begin to take steps in actually living it out, you will see repercussions happen. You will see consequences because of your lack of trust. The Israelites lived this out. We talked about them last week. They literally crossed the Red Sea on dry ground. The water split in two. They've seen the miraculous wonders of God. They forget about who he is. They walk away from him and they want to live life on their own. They don't trust God. They would prefer to trust themselves. It's interesting. And so what happens? They go into the wilderness and God presses pause. And he's been promising them the promised land for so long. But here's what has to happen. The Israelites, the people of God, aren't really the people of God. And so over the span of 39 years, they wait. And you know what they're waiting on? They're waiting on a generation that did not trust God to die off. It sounds bad, I know. But God knew. He couldn't trust them to inherit the promised land because of their lack of trust. What things in my life I'm not trusting God in, but I need to trust God because I don't want to experience the consequence. But here's what's pretty cool. 39 years go by real fast. No, they were slow. It was awful. Just waiting in the desert, trusting God as much as they could muster up. And this new generation begins to rise. And they know why they're there. They know what their ancestors did. They know what their parents and their grandparents, how they messed up. And then the 39 years is up. And they didn't know how long they were waiting. They didn't have like a big timer that was like, after this amount of time, everything's gonna be cool and you can go inherit the promised land. They had no idea. And then in Deuteronomy 2, verse 24, I love this. This is the moment they've been waiting for. This is everything. It says, then the Lord said, now get moving. Come on, they're excited. They've been waiting for 39 years. Now get moving. Some of you are waiting for God to show up and say, get up off the bench. Go get it. Go get the victory. Go do what I've called you to do. You've been waiting for it. I'm telling you, they were probably just so excited. They were giddy. 39 years. It says this, cross the Arnon Gorge. Look, I will hand over to you Sihon the Amorite king of Heshbon, and I will give you his land. attack him and begin to occupy the land. Beginning today, I will make people throughout the earth terrified because of you. When they hear reports about you, they will be tremble with dread and with fear. Come on. This is like that pregame speech they've just been waiting for and waiting for. They're about to go get victory. They're about to go get the promised land. They're about to receive something that they've been waiting on for decades, for years. A promise fulfilled. But I want to put this in perspective for you. You see, by the time God calls them off the bench, if you will, it's been 39 years. And this new generation has been grown up, and they've never seen battle. They don't know what to do with the sword. And so as exciting as this is, as awe-inspiring, it's fearful. Because God's called them to do something greater than they could do on their own. It requires trust. Joe's gonna bring me something from backstage. He's ready, come on. I got another prop. I like to use props. Is that all right with you guys? Now watch out, I could be really dangerous with this thing. This is a really cool bow. It's got a cooler name. I'm forgetting what it's called. Somebody out there knows, it's all good. But you guys know what this is, right? It's a bow, and you put the arrow in and you go, pew. It's a little harder than that, but it's pretty cool. Because I can take an arrow and send it super far, yards further than I could throw it, more accurate than I could throw it. I mean, this was like the first form of defense that was actually like, I'm not standing right in front of somebody battling them. You know what I'm saying? This is pretty cool. But there's this process that takes place on this. And you get the arrow in here. I'm not gonna do it for you guys because I didn't want to kill somebody. I'm just gonna be honest. And you pull back on this string. You pull it back here. And this part, like the pullback moment, it's kind of awkward. There's tension. It kind of doesn't make sense because you're taking like a step backward from where you want to go. It's kind of frustrating. But I wonder, as you wait, if we imagine ourselves as the arrow, and God is the archer, and we place our life and our trust in his hands, he lines us up and he pulls us back, and we feel the tension. We feel it, it's awkward. We feel the waiting. Come on, some of you are there right now, and you feel it, and you're like, God, why am I taking a step backward? I'm not even ready to go where you're sending me. But we're like, why do I have to take a step back to go forward? Why do I have to go back this way just to do what you've called me to do? And we feel it, and it's not fun. It's the waiting season. And God is building up the momentum in your life to go further, to send you higher, to do more incredible things than you could ever do on your own. Because if the archer pulls you back and they aim you, man, this thing's gonna go flying. I wonder what would happen if we begin to trust God and we place our life and our trust in his hands, and we see something begin to happen, and he dreams bigger dreams than we can dream for ourselves. He begins to say, no, you can do this because I've called you to do it, not because someone else said you can't, not because you feel like underwhelmed and scared and fearful. He's saying you can because I'm with you, because I'm the one that's sending you. I wonder what you could do with your life when you begin to fully trust God. What does that look like for you? Because see, you've been thinking, man, I'm waiting here and I want to get over there. And God's like, no, bro, I want to send you further. I want to get you to a place you could have never gotten on your own. You want that job promotion? I've got a better one for you. You want to plan out all the details of your life? That's cool. I've got better details. I've got better plans. when you begin to see his handiwork and see what he's doing as he begins to prepare you for the next season, even through the tension and the madness and the craziness of ourselves, we can see God work and move and change our life and transform us from the inside out. And we can go further. We can go higher. And we can step out of our mentality. We can step out of the limit, like how limited we are here, and say, God, I want you to do what you want with my life. That is trust. And today I've already asked you, how would you rate your trust in God? Because my hope is that you could take a next step and trust him in greater ways. My hope is that your trust can not only transform your life from the inside out, but as you begin to trust, this world sees someone that trusts God. This world desperately needs Christians, Christ followers who actually trust God. It's not about a bumper sticker or a t-shirt. It's about trust. And the world can't trust a church that's not trusting in God. And the church is me and you. And the trajectory of the church, it's dependent on our ability to trust. My prayer for you is that you feel challenged, that maybe you question your motives, your thoughts, and you do the math, and you crunch the numbers. And maybe today, for some of you, you trust God all the way for the very first time. What can happen? Can I pray over you this morning? Dear Jesus, I pray that you would help someone in this room, someone watching online today, trust you in greater ways. God, I pray that someone in this room, someone listening to the sound of my voice, would be brave enough to pick up the broken pieces of their heart and their trust and to place them in your all-powerful, capable hands and to see themselves transformed with your love that never fails, with your goodness. God, that we can see the pursuit of you pursuing us. With every head bowed and eyes closed this morning, I just want to ask you a simple question. Have you made Jesus the center of your life? Have you put your trust in him? Maybe you have before, maybe you've never done it. And today you'd say, Seth, I want to start my relationship with Jesus today. I want to re-up my relationship with Jesus today in an all new way. Diving in head first. If that's you, I want to count to 3 and I want to give you a chance just to lift your hand up and respond in a way that God sees and that you can live out. 1, 2, 3. If that's you, lift up your hand. Thank you. Thank you. If you're watching online, I'd invite you to go to 7city.info and you can click the Make a Decision tab and fill that out and we will follow up with you if that's you today. Here's what I'm gonna ask. Would everybody just stand where you are and stay where you are for a moment? Just a second, I'm gonna pray over you. I wanna pray over the decisions made. But then we're just gonna have a quick moment of response. I'm not gonna keep you here forever. Pastor Joe's gonna lead us in the song that we sang a minute ago. And I wanna just give you an opportunity to respond the way that your soul and your heart is crying out to respond. For you to have this moment and take this step back and look at the life that you've been living, the trust that you've been living out, your relationship with God, and then God can call you to greater places. God can call out the trust that he needs from you to see the trajectory of your life completely changed. So this morning I want to pray over you. And then you can respond the way you want to respond. If you want to lift your hands in surrender, if you want to sing the song, if you want to pray, if you want to just sit there and be still, I don't care. You can do whatever you want to do. But I just felt like this message needed more than just an attaboy, get out of here kind of message today. But we just needed a quick moment of self-actualization and looking into ourselves and what we're thinking, our thoughts, our motives, and we can plan out and spend a moment with God and say, God, invade my heart. Help me follow you in greater ways. So if you're comfortable, would you just lift up your hands however you feel comfortable? If you don't want to, it's not a big deal. I'm not gonna make you. Dear Jesus, I pray for every decision made today. God, that you would help each and every person walk this out in their life in such a way that transformation takes place. God, instead of being Christians and Christ followers that are halfway trusting, God, we can be the kind of people you've called us to be. And God, when we become who you've called us to be, this church, these people can come together and the trajectory can be changed. God, I pray that you would help us make decisions today that transform us from the inside out. We love you, we praise you, we thank you. And God, in this moment, we surrender our hearts to trust you in greater ways. And everyone said, amen. Let's spend a moment, let's respond, and I'll be back up in just a second.
Hey, thanks again for being a part of what God's doing here at Seven City Church. We hope you are blessed by today's message. If you'd like to partner with us or get more information, you can go to our website, sevencitychurch.com. Be blessed, take care.